MJ here with another Star Wars Age of Rebellion review, comic book review. This one is the Luke Skywalker edition, or whatever, one shot. And who's responsible for this? We got Greg Pak on story, Chris Sprouse. I knew there were multiple artists on this. Chris Sprouse, Scott Koblish, and Stefano Landini doing the art. Carl Story and Mark Deering did inks. Color was done by Tamara Bonvillain, which I think, yeah, Bonvillain, that's how it goes. And then the lettering was done by VC's Travis Lanham. And let's see, I didn't get the traditional cover. I got a variant cover, which you're seeing now. I thought it looked pretty darn cool. And I'm pretty sure Jabba's tail is right there coming onto the page. So there's probably a set where all the covers go together, which is a fun design. But yeah, I don't know who the artist would have been on that. So I won't mention that, unfortunately. I wish I could give props to the author or the artist, but I don't think they signed their work on this particular variant that I have, so that's kind of too bad. Anyway, so this... I'm in a weird place with this whole Age of Rebellion series. Just to recap, I only liked the Yoda story, really, in the Age of Rebellion special. The Leia comic one-shot for Age of Rebellion I thought was bad. I thought nobody cared. Pack worked on that. Guggenheim did a great job on the Yoda special in the Age of Rebellion, where it's him, IG-88, and those other guys. The Lando was really good. That was done by Pack. So, but interestingly, Pack did Lando's dialogue, and it was not good in the Leia comic, but the whole Lando comic, it was pretty good. So this Luke comic, it actually has one really great piece of art, which you've been seeing as I've been talking, and I liked that a lot. I don't know. I wish they said who did the art on what pages, and if I knew the artists better, I would probably be able to tell who did what, but I don't know them, so I can't say, but, I think the person who did the first couple pages did the last couple pages, or at least the final page. No, the final page, not that second to the last page. The quality is not the same. I'll be nice, but I'm not going to lie and say that it all looks beautiful or looks to be the same quality, because that's not the truth. Anyway, I was really surprised by the fact that the art, the quality of the art changed so much that it, starts off really great, really clean, and then it gets kind of murky and foggy. I did not like how the Emperor looked, and in any of his... in any of the pages, the Utai, I think the Utai are the tall ones from Utapound. The Powins are the little guys, like the Ugnaughts. Anyway, I think the Utai guy, kind of like the, from Rebels, the Supreme Brother or whatever, the Inquisitor, Grand Inquisitor looking guy. I thought he looked pretty cool throughout. But man, the Emperor is just like, I don't know, like so inconsistent. And typically when I talk about art, I want to be generous and say, hey, it doesn't have to look accurate as long as it's expressive, but it wasn't. I don't know, was it consistent? Was the Emperor art? I feel like the Emperor art was inconsistent, and I don't think it was expressive enough. Well, it may have been expressive enough in most areas, but the inconsistency is probably what's most frustrating to me, and it was a little tough. Now, that's enough about the art. I want to go ahead and transition and talk about the story. So the crux of the story this issue is basically that Palpatine, while he's frustrated in the few months after A New Hope, after the destruction of the first Death Star, which, anyway, I'm not going to go into stupid little ticky-tacky plot holes, or whatever they might be. So he is frustrated with Luke and Vader's inability to find him. And he decides to go ahead and reach out with his mind through the Force and connect through the Force, not the forest, to connect with Luke and basically tempt him. And this feels very much like what Snoke perhaps did with Ben, even though, of course, we don't have any details about what happened there. And it also feels like it may have been what, in retrospect, the Emperor was doing with Anakin all along. Palpatine, Sheev, I think I can call him Sheev, says out loud while he's meditating, or probably it makes sense, probably using his words to focus his mind and focus the Force into doing what he wants it to do. Basically exposits that he's connecting with Luke. He can read his heart and he can speak truths into it, basically. Or maybe it's not that he can actually input those things, but he can amplify the doubts and the darker emotions that Luke feels, and which it's natural to feel all those things and to have stray thoughts that are not nice. But I think the mark of a good person, or the mark of a Jedi in this instance, would be do you indulge in those thoughts, or do you push them aside, reject them, and say, like, no, I'm not going to have that perspective. I'm going to be positive about these people, this situation, whatever, and make it work for the best. And anyway, it's an interesting idea. I liked it overall. I felt like some of the dialogue was weak. I felt like some of the way Palpatine was talking just didn't feel right. And there's a really weird thing. The Emperor challenges Vader on why he hasn't caught Skywalker yet, and Vader's line is ellipses, so he pauses after the Emperor's he must be stronger than you anticipated, and then he pauses for a beat, probably takes in a breath, and then he says he's full of tricks. I don't think Vader would say that. But he's nothing compared to what he could be if he embraced the power of the dark side. So that's interesting. So I don't know if that created... Anyway, that was a really weird bit of dialogue there, and I don't know. I didn't like it. It didn't ring true. I mean, the details of the larger story that are going on, like with Luke, they stole all this fuel. He fought a bunch of... I couldn't remember if they were like Imperial security droids. Oh yeah, they were like K2SO. So like he destroyed a bunch of those. Saved the lives of all these rebel pilots and whatever, making this this fuel run. And he with his Jedi powers and stuff does this great deed, this great task. But I mean, larger than that, he's able to accomplish so much more than they are able to. And Palpatine uses that to amplify and increase arrogance within him. And Luke, seeing this Major, is that right? At the end of the Utai guy, he ends up going into this trance because Palpatine is messing with his mind. Gosh, and he ends up getting shaken out of it when things are in danger, and he's able to not get killed, and then he thinks that the Major's can I go flee and abandon everybody, and then he goes and ends up helping him. So just I don't know, it felt like I like the stories being dealt with in a single issue, but I just think maybe this was a little too broad, or it should have been approached a little bit differently to make it cleaner, to make it a single issue. But I didn't really like it. It was a little lackluster, but one thing I kind of liked was how it foreshadowed the temptation that Luke fell into in The Last Jedi, or I guess after Kylo's fall and before the events of The Force Awakens. So that's kind of interesting. But what more can I say? Tell me, did you like this issue? Was it too much like The Last Jedi? Did the narrative seem crystal clear to you? Because it sure didn't seem crystal clear to me. Hey, did they land on Felucia? It looks like they might have landed on Felucia. That's a little Easter egg, kind of. Anyway, and then another question. Do you know who the good artist was, the really good artist on this comic? Which one was it? Was it... Where are the artists? Come on. Was it Sprouse, Koblish, or Landini? Let me know if you know, because I would like to know who did the really good work. And if you know this variant cover artist is, you want to drop it in the comments, I'd love that. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this and you want to help me grow the channel, please comment, like, share, do that stuff. And then for yourself, you can subscribe and ring the bell so you get these every time they come out. May the Force be with you, folks.